YouTube, what is up? Riot have confirmed today that there is a big patch on its way. It's going to be, if we look at this video, a couple of map changes, which is very nice, and at the same time, maybe decreasing the amount of util, or at least the cooldown increase on rechargeable abilities, so like Sova Fade kind of abilities. So why is this happening now after champs, which we had the most open meta ever? We had like a couple of mirror matchups on 41 maps, which is crazy. We've never had that before. And is this good for the game long term? Let's look at it. So why did this all happen? It all came down to this guy, Teo. He was released super strong, rechargeable damage util, way too much, he had to get enough, and that basically kickstarted the conversation about rechargeable util within the game. Notable voices within the scene spoke out with their views. This is what they said.
This game would be so much harder and more fun to watch at the same time if rechargeable abilities didn't exist.
I feel like utility should help you use the precise gunplay.
So all these conversations started happening when Teo was prominent. He was in meta. Then he got nerfed. Breach got a little stray. His stun got nerfed. And the conversation died down, essentially. Teams for the new meta, they started looking at double duelist. We had a lot of double controller with a Viper Omen. And maybe a couple of teams, NRG, Giants, few others, kept with double initiator. So why are we talking about this right now? Why are we doing this patch? Historically, Riot likes to change the game up, right? We had the Outlaw come in that changed stuff up a little bit, and then we had the regen shield, not as much, but obviously that happened the year after. They like to change this stuff up. Rumors started circulating about this patch that is getting dropped within a couple of weeks, maybe, or at least spoken about in a couple of weeks, that they were fully, like FNS wanted, removing all of the recharge util. So Sova would have one recon for the whole round, Fade Eye, like just one charge of it. Then obviously people want to protect the game. They think this is bad. So they started taking to Twitter and then the whole conversation started. In this video, I want to talk about how I would approach getting like the perfect meta if we were going to do this, if they do want to tackle the recharge util. Obviously, Lofar did a tweet. It's not about ranked play because basically these ranked agents don't really have cooldown util, the ones that are getting like heavy pick rates unless we're attacking a lot of the smokers, which we might be. So it's mostly about pro play. So to do that, we need to kind of break down the most average or the ideal attack pro play rounds. So let's do that. In pro play at the moment, we have 4 stages. So stage 1 is take map control. And with this, you're going to see the recharge util come out, right? Fade Eye, 40 seconds to come back. And we're going to do a 4-1 default. So once we've done that, stage 2, this is stage 1, taking map control. Stage 2 is pushing back this bit of map control. So to do that, what are we going to do? We got to leave one over towards here in case they react, right? This is called an insert. And at the same time, we need to push back A with 3. This is stage 2. How are we going to do that? So we could wait 40 seconds, like a Fnatic thing, and have a Fade Eye. A lot of teams will do it a lot faster. So you'll have a Seize and a Prowler to push back over towards this bit of map control. The whole point of stage 2 is to try and create question marks around the map of where you're going to hit, right? Where am I going to hit? The defense should be spread relatively thin and cover all of the points. Then you group up stage 3. We're heading over towards a site. If you're not Fnatic and you haven't used your Fade Eye, then you have this for the actual exec itself, right? So we have an extra Prowler, maybe we've got the Fade Eye, and then we can hit the sites, and it's a lot harder for people to hold over towards the site. Some people as well won't use it on this. You can kind of contact if you've done a good default. You might be able to save your Fade Eye for stage 4, which is after plant, right? Everyone's playing retake. You have the site, and then they're going to try and retake, and you might have a Fade Eye. So majority of the time, you have, out of the stages, 3 out of 4 if you're going real slow on stage 2, or you have a minimum 2 out of 4 in terms of how many times you can use your refreshable util, for example, as a fade. So now we understand the stages, we can see where the devs are wanting to go with it, I think. Right? They came out, they said these are all rumors, we're just increasing the cooldown. So if it was at like a 50-second cooldown or a 1-minute cooldown, you would have to pick the stages. Do I want it for stage 1 and stage 3? Do I want it to open up the map and then hit the site? Or do I want it for stage 2, re-clear somewhere, and then after plant? or stage 1 and 4. You get what I'm saying? So it can only ever be 2 instead of sometimes it is getting used for 3 of the 4 stages. That's where I think they're at. But then you need to counter in, and this is where it's going to get hard because they have to think of everything. You have to counter in the fact of how Valorant is as a game. Let's quickly ignore the util and we'll just talk about it as a game itself. This is the first game for a long, long time, maybe since 1.6, where holding an angle is superior, especially on LAN. Obviously, online, the highest ping is going to own you. But on LAN, holding a line is very, very, very strong in this game. CSGO used to have right eye peek. If you peeked with your right side fast, you would see something. The camera's not in the middle. It's all the way to the right, so you see stuff on the right fast. In CS2, there is insane peeker's advantage. Watch a Donk video. He wants to peek everyone. It's the first game where holding an angle is really, really strong. And you have slower movement in this game. So if you're holding an angle, especially with an op, most of the time you get a free shot or you have to get pushed off by utility. So what if we don't have util to push this opper off? We then have to go to the backup, which is jump in the corner and trading this guy out, right? Try and make him miss his shot. If he hits it, we at least trade him. But what if in this game you could TP away? The TPs become insanely strong as soon as you start taking away this utility. You cannot secure trades. You fundamentally can't do the next thing in line, so TPs become a lot stronger. They have to nerf the TPs along with it as well. If they do this to the initiator util or the recharge util, whether it smokes, everything like that, everything else has to fall in line. And that means Judge nerf, Odin nerf, maybe Op nerf, I'm not sure, TP nerf, Outlaw nerf, everything that is hard and strong to get off of these angles. You need to make sure that it all falls in line with it. Everything has to be perfectly balanced. So what does this all mean? It means we got to wait and see that they have thought of everything. This has a domino effect. As soon as you take away that util, other things become stronger. Brock this weekend, the Odin is so busted. He wasn't getting pushed off of enough angles with the util as it was. You take away some of that util and keep the Odin the same, it's going to be a nightmare. The Odin has to get nerfed. Judge, TPs, Outlaw, all of the things we mentioned has to get looked at and has to get brought in line with the changes. So that means it's going to be a giant patch if they have thought of everything. On top of that, I will say the map changes that we saw at the beginning of this video, that could be awesome. Like on Abyss and B, I have 2 positions. No wonder the util feels insanely overwhelming because there's only 2 positions I can actually be on site unless I'm, again, playing a TP agent. So I think changing the maps and doing slight tweaks to that will be good. Am I concerned? For sure. I thought Champs had the best meta I've ever seen. I loved watching everyone's iteration of how they viewed a map and how they wanted to play it. Double duelist, double initiator, double controller, etc. But I'm also excited. I like when the game changes. I like to see how teams adapt. I just hope they think of everything and we don't see certain agents take over again and then become somewhat of a boring meta when we got what I think was the most balanced game yet. Obviously, some things need a little tweak. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.